Hello. I want to talk to you today about something I know I've definitely done myself. Your warm up is probably wrong. Honestly, I've screwed up more times than I want to admit. I've suffered harder in more races than I need to just because of this. You do what feels like a solid warm up. You're sweating, you've done some effort, legs feel like they've had some work, and you roll to the line thinking, yeah, I'm ready. But enough whistle is blown and you feel absolutely terrible. Your heart rate's through the roof, you feel heavy, sluggish, you spend the first 10, 20 minutes just trying to survive, holding onto the wheels, while you look around and everyone else seems fine. Or you get the opposite problem. You rush to warm up, not enough time, it's too cold, you faffed and faffed harder, haven't pinned your numbers in time, haven't filled your bottles, and the first effort of the race comes and boom. So both of those, absolute warm-up failures. And they're way more common than actual fitness problems or fueling issues or any of the other stuff we like to blame. The frustrating part is that warm-ups are completely within our control. But most of us treat them like some kind of ritual instead of what they actually are, which is a tool. So let's fix that. Now, the warm-up paradox. Here's the interesting thing about warm-ups. They can help you and they can hurt you at the same time. Warming up raises muscle temperature, which is good. Warmer muscles contract faster, produce force more quickly, work far more efficiently. If you start cold, you're going to leave power on the table. But warming up also raises your core temperature, and that's when it gets complicated. High core temperature means more strain in the cardiovascular system. Your heart rate creeps up, heart rate drift is a thing. You're burning through glycogen a lot faster, and the perception of effort goes up as well. So push too far and you basically cook yourself before the race even starts. So you need warm muscles, but you don't want to be hot. That's quite a narrow target. And this is exactly why you see pro riders warming up and trainers then putting on these cooling vests, which, they're not just being precious about it. They're solving this exact problem. Raise the muscle temperature, then actively cool the core before the start. You might have also seen riders put their wrists in cold water or like ice cold water, but exactly the same purpose. Now, most of us don't have cooling vests lying around. I dare you, go have a look, see how much they actually cost. But we can still get this right. It just means being more deliberate about how hard we actually go and what we do with the time between the warm-up and the race start. There's another tension in warm-ups that's worth understanding. You've probably heard of post-activation potentiation. The idea that doing some hard efforts can switch on your nervous system and you'll perform better afterwards. And it's absolutely real. Research supports it. But the tricky part is that activation and fatigue happen together. You can't really get one without the other. In trained cyclists specifically, this is quite well documented. Longer warm-ups, harder warm-up efforts, they can actually reduce the peak power before the fatigue ends up outweighing any activation benefit. I've seen this with riders I coach. They do a warm-up that looks impressive on paper, multiple hard efforts, big numbers on the power meter, and then they underperform. They activate themselves, sure, but they also drain themselves. They're cooked before the start of the race. If you look at what elite sprinters do, it's often way less than you'd expect. So there's a few short efforts, real long recovery between them, enough to switch on, but not enough to dig a hole. And more isn't necessarily safer. It might just be more fatigue dressed up as preparation. Now, the timing problem. Here's another good way that warm-ups can go wrong. They finish way too early. Everything you build in the warm-up is temporary. Muscles temperature, neural activation, cardio system getting primed, all of it starts decaying the moment you stop moving. You finish your warm-up 20 minutes before the start, you've lost a good chunk of what you built. This catches a lot of people out, especially at races with delayed starts or long call-ups to the line or gridding, track events where you're waiting between races. Now the fix is pretty simple. Get your bottles filled, numbers on, body lightened before you do any of these, right? The first thing you do, finish your warm-up close to the start, then probably feels comfortable. We're talking 5 minutes before the start, not 20, all right? Second, maintain heat passively. Leg warmers stay on, jacket on, stay out of the wind. You're preserving what you built without adding any extra cost. Third, do a brief reactivation before you go. A few short efforts, nothing that's going to drain you, but just enough to wake everything back up. Between races, if it's something like an Omnium or a track league, you're not trying to warm up again. You're doing maintenance. Just keep that engine idling. Don't let it go completely cold. This is something that confused me for ages. You start in a race, the pace isn't that high objectively, but you feel absolutely awful. Legs burning, breathing all over the place, heart rate's absolutely spiked. Then 10 minutes later, you settle in and everything feels fine. So what is going on? Now, this isn't just a warm-up thing, but it comes down to oxygen uptake kinetics. When you start exercising, your aerobic system needs time to ramp up. It's not instant. During that lag period, you're relying on the anaerobic contribution. Metabolites start accumulating. A perception of effort goes through the roof. What a good warm-up does is shorten that lag. It gets your heart rate elevated, increases blood flow to the working muscles, primes the mitochondria so they're actually ready to go when the race starts. Now, this won't change your peak power, doesn't change your threshold. What it changes is the cost of those first few minutes. And in racing, those first few minutes can often decide everything. You know, just look at a cyclocross start or a crit race when an early break goes away. Can you hold your position? Can you respond to that first attack? Can you stay calm when it absolutely hurts? If your warm-up didn't do its job, you're just playing catch up from the gun. What I actually do, so here's how I warm up. It's not complicated, but every piece is there for a specific reason. I'm going to hopefully place it there. I start with 5 to 10 minutes of just easy spinning, raising muscle temperature, settling my breath, letting my body wake up, nothing hard at all. We're talking real easy gears. So 2 different warm-up options now. For longer events like road races, I'll do a couple of 3-minute efforts around tempo, lower zone 4, controlled, not digging, just opening up the aerobic system so the race start doesn't bury me. Now, for shorter, sharper events, crits, scratch races, I'll add some neuromuscular activation on top. 5 or 6 efforts, 10 seconds each, 50 seconds recovery in between. Hard enough to switch things on, but short enough that fatigue doesn't actually accumulate. And for those efforts, think speed, leg speed, not torque. You're waking up the nervous system, not loading the muscles. High cadence, snappy light gear, it's about the signal, not the work. There's a mental side to this too. Sometimes the biggest thing a warm-up gives you isn't physical at all, it's focus. Race environments, absolutely chaotic. People everywhere, noise, nerves, last-minute faffing. It's easy to arrive at the line, scattered, head still, full of everything except the race. A warm-up on the rollers, headphones on, just you and the effort, that's a way to shut all of that out. You're not just preparing the body, you're narrowing your attention, lowering that external noise, getting into the zone before you need to be there, getting aroused and motivated so by the time you roll to the line, you're there mentally. You're not just reacting to the environment, you are ready, race ready. Then I stop, early enough that my heart rate and breathing settle before the start, but late enough that I don't go cold sitting around. And then I just try and stay warm, layers on. If I'm on the rollers, nice light gear, just spinning the legs. Stay out the winds. If there's delay, I'll do a couple of short spin-ups. Like I said, 6-10 seconds before I go, nothing major. Just a reminder that legs are about to do something. And that's it. Warm muscles, cool core, nervous system ready, head in the right place, minimal cost paid. The takeaway from this, here's how I want you to think about it. A warm-up isn't a ritual. It's not something you do because everyone else is doing it. It's an intervention that changes your starting conditions. Get it right, and you arrive to the start line, everything ready, muscles primed, aerobic system engaged, nervous system switched on, focus dialed in, nothing wasted. Get it wrong, and you've left performance on the table, or you've already spent it before the race has started. Now, the right warm-up isn't the longest one. It's not the hardest one. It's the one that prepares you exactly for what you need and avoids what you don't. So thank you. Saddle up and get your warm-up done.